leaders of the JCI movement, past, present, and future, charming ladies, distinguished gentlemen. When I started way back as a trainer, my friend Kiran Bol dragged me to Nagpur to do the first NTTS conducted by JCI India. Little did I dream that day that there would be a day when I would be speaking to thousands of people from the comfort of my own house. Little did I dream that I would get so much of encomiums and so much of accolades attached to my name. Indeed, it has been a fantastic, magical journey. At this momentous point of time, I cannot help but recall people who shaped me. It was past National President Subrata Ghoshal who taught me the creativity of a trainer. Senator Harinder Singh taught me that content is the king. Past National President Vallabh Das taught me that logic and emotions can go together and that sequencing is everything. To the hundreds of thousands of people with whom I've had the pleasure of interacting, the few people whom I've had the pleasure and the privilege of making them part of my family, this presentation, ladies and gentlemen, is dedicated to all of you. Let's have a nice time, shall we? My subject is reinventing yourself. If you notice, ladies and gentlemen, nature constantly reinvents itself. Every day in the morning, it's a new sunrise, and the sun moves a few degrees to the left or to the right. Every evening, most days in a month, you have a moon who keeps changing shapes every day. Seasons keep changing. Even the mighty ocean, while being in its own place, keeps on reinventing the speed, the height, and the ripples of its own waves. Every living creature reinvents itself every day. I have a small cat at home, and it's amazing to see that there are some times when it looks so fat, and then overnight it seems quite thin. It has shed most of its fur in order to bring in new fur. Ladies and gentlemen, without realizing it, even you are reinventing yourself every day. Let me give you a small example. This morning, when you stood in front of your wardrobe, is it or is it not a fact that you chose a special dress? I'm sure you must have thought to yourself that there is this guy called Ramesh Batavia, whom I had met a long time back, and I'm going to see him again on the screen. And just in case he is able to see me, let me wear a good dress. Yes or no? I'm sure you did. In a way, didn't you reinvent yourself for me? Is it not a fact that every day when you go to the office, you might wear ordinary clothes, but when there is a meeting, you always wear a tie and a coat? Is it also not a fact that when you speak to elders, and the very next moment you have to speak to young children, you reinvent yourself? Yes, we do this all the time. Unfortunately, we don't reinvent where we should, and we reinvent where it does not really matter. Let's see you do something for me today. Please get up from your seat, wherever you are, at home, wherever. Please get up from your seat, go to the side of your chair, and start running the way this guy is doing. in your place. You don't have to go anywhere else. Yeah, do it right now. I trust you. I don't have to see you. I know you will do it. Go ahead, do it. Oh, wow. You seem to be doing very fine. You seem to be doing well. All right, continue with this for some more time. Oh, yes, very good. Okay, please come back to your places. Yeah, please do come back to your places. Have you heard of this gentleman called Eric Vaughan? I bet many of you haven't. But do you know something? He is the very reason why you and I are interacting today. He is the founder of Zoom. Yes, he was working in a software company called Cisco and decided one day that enough is enough and I want to change. He and a few more friends of his went ahead to found this wonderful company called Zoom. A classic case of reinvention, isn't it? Winston Churchill is celebrated as one of the most famous prime ministers of Great Britain. The first innings that Winston Churchill had was a complete disaster. He was not able to carry the people with him. He was not able to do anything that he really wanted to do. It's by sheer fortune that he became the prime minister again when Great Britain went to war. And this is when Winston Churchill reinvented himself. The richest man in the whole world, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, he was working in a technological company. And one day, he simply gave it up. He said, "No, I don't want to be working for anybody anymore. I want to do something on my own." And he went on to become the richest man in the world. Dwayne Johnson is also known as The Rock. He is Hollywood's highest paid star. This gentleman, Dwayne Johnson, was a WWF star. Yes, yes, all that heavy grunting and groaning. And he was a star then. And one day he decided that he would reinvent himself and he went on seeking a job in Hollywood. And today he is the world's highest paid star. This gentleman was an introvert, an airline pilot who was so shy to speak that he would allow his first officer to make most announcements on the aircraft. He was never seen outside his cabin, and all of a sudden, his mother died. And within hours, he became the prime minister of this country. He went on to become one of the most vocal prime ministers of this country, a gentleman who was not even able to utter a few sentences, went on to catapult himself into one of the most successful prime ministers of his time, Rajiv Gandhi. Amitabh Bachchan was somebody the whole world looked on to. He tasted heady heights of glory, of success, and all of a sudden, the audience was no longer with him. He went through a very, very traumatic time until he reinvented himself thanks to Siddharth Basu as a television star. And then, of course, Amitabh Bachchan never looked back. It's not just individuals alone. Look at this. Amazon started as a book selling company. Today, Amazon is into books. Yes, it is into anything and everything conceivable that you might want to buy. It is on audio. It is on video. And God knows what else is around the corner. McDonald's, when they came into India, faced a huge problem in the beginning. Their stuff was not palatable to India. And what did they do? They completely reinvented themselves, and the McAloo became their signature dish. Just Dial was a company that moved with the ages. A yellow pages, which became much more than that. It became the one stop to ask for any information regarding a phone number across the country. Wipro started off as a as a soap manufacturing company. Oh yes, it then went into lighting. Then it went into software. And today, the Wipro University is one of the best known names in education. Yeah, the mighty Reliance started off as a textile mill. And today, it's doing everything else in the world. We talked about big people. We talked about big organizations. Let's see what people like you and me can do. But before we look at that, look at this. This gentleman is one of those people who reinvented cricket. Mahendra Singh Soni and his helicopter shot. The whole game of cricket underwent a massive change. From test cricket, it became to fast ones. It became 3-day matches. Then from 3-day matches, it became to 1-day matches. And then, of course, now you have the very famous T20 matches. And to top it all, IPL became one of the biggest money spenders in the whole world. See, reinvention. I give to you a group of very, very ordinary people like you and me. These are people who have reinvented themselves in the recent past. Let me just give you a brief snapshot of each one of them. On the left here is Vikas Guglia. Some of you have met him. He is a consumer durables person, a distributor, reached a saturation point in his company, got into construction real estate in a very big way, reorganized his own father's traditional paper business. And today, of course, he is the national treasurer of JCI India. Just below him, sporting that very famous Yul Brynner look, is Zubair Ahmed. Zubair is from Gudlur. Zubair is an Indian oil dealer who, in anticipation of the days to come, has now branched off into retail. You have Vijay Prakash here. Vijay Prakash is from the Sri Prakash group of institutions. He started off as a maths teacher, yes, and then became a dairy farmer, then got into real estate in a very big way, partly got into retail when he hived off some of his area to DMart to start something in a small town called Pune. And today he is on to building a huge mall. Venkatesh, famously known as VSAT Venkatesh, is a guy who started life as a working partner in a water heater manufacturing company. And today he is South India's acknowledged expert on anything to do with solar. This is somebody familiar to all of you. Naveen Palyam has been supplying pins and logos to all of us for a very long time. And 2 years back, Naveen got into a company called Flix. Flix manufactures 3D, does 3D printing on practically any surface. Behind him, Vinay Jain, a traditional furniture dealer in Raichur, went on to now become an importer of luxury furniture, all at Raichur. You've got Prithvi next to him. From consumer durables, Prithvi went on to become a caterer. Krish was into industrial components, and he asked his friend Chandrasekhar to take care of the day-to-day working of his company, and now he's very busy mentoring his own son who wants to get into business. Vijay from Raichur is uh, a traditional baker. Yeah, he runs a bakery. But this is not an ordinary bakery. To give you an idea, on the 30th or the 31st of every year, Vijay sells about 30 lakh rupees worth of cakes. Yeah, 30 lakh rupees worth of cakes on just those 2 days. Below him is Vivek. Vivek is someone who owns the biggest store, retail store in Gudalur. Not content with what he had, he doubled the capacity of his store. And yes, not the last, not even the least on my list is Jaiprakash Rai. Jaiprakash Rai started life as somebody selling t-shirts, and today he has highly successfully running factories at Tirupur and at Bangalore. Ladies and gentlemen, ordinary people like you and me can also reinvent ourselves. On a personal note, I think I went through 3 major portions of my life when I reinvented myself. The first one's climax was when I was the national president. At that point of time, we were disaffiliated from Junior Chamber International. The world president told me that it was on her priority list that she wanted India back as a full-fledged member of Junior Chamber International. As we went along that year, we had a huge fire in the National Secretariat. Those days, national presidents used to be elected. I had a very vibrant and a very, very vociferous national governing board, and there had to be the task of bringing all these together. We had a task of bringing in a record number of people into the organization. And yes, I completely forgot. And yes, we were the only people, I think we still remain the only year in which JCI India had a national convention in a park, and we charged only 100 rupees as registration. Yes, we had to do that because the host backed out at the last moment. From time to time, I spoke to my elders, my own past national president friends, and every one of them told me that India needed somebody who would deliver. India needed somebody who was efficient, who could be productive, and who could be absolutely practical. I had to don that role. And I think I did it. My team did it very successfully. Now the second part, the second version 2 of my life began after I gave up the national presidency. Then it was a matter of consolidating myself to bring in all the wealth that I wanted. In those days, it mattered very little whether I was doing something socially or not, because to me, what mattered the most was to provide for my family. And then, of course, we have version 3. And almost come to the end of my innings, when a very good friend of mine, Vikas Rawat of Global Gardener, came up to me and said, I want to give you a challenge. I said, what is the challenge? And he said, join me in Global Gardener and let's do something great for India. So now this is version 3. So even somebody as old as I am can change if they want to change. Now let's see if every one of you needs to reinvent yourself or not. I have some questions on the screen. You don't have to give me the answers. You don't even have to touch your chat button. You don't have to do anything. Just pick up a piece of paper and a pen on your side and keep on writing yes or no. Okay. Now, the first question is, do you feel that your work is not recognized? Yes or no? Do you feel that your work is not recognized? My second question, are you unhappy about your life? Do you feel that you have reached your potential? Do you feel that you can grow no more? And yet you can't do anything more than this? Do you feel tired most of the time? Is your sleep disturbed? Do you get the feeling that the world is moving too fast for you? I have 6 questions on the screen. And if you have more than 2 that say yes, just 2 that say yes, you're ready. You're ready to reinvent yourself. Just a minute. Yeah. Sorry, I discovered I was on battery power. I had to boot again. Now that we decided that anybody can reinvent, first of all, let's take stock. What am I today? What is causing me unhappiness? What are my strengths? What am I doing? Am I happy with whatever I am doing in my life? Every year, around the 31st of March, what do? We take stock if we are in business. We find out, first of all, not only the value of our stock, but we try and find out what is the dead stock. Now let's take a look at some of the dead stock that we've got. Just a minute. All right. I have some questions here. Are you still crying about your last failure? Are you still regretting those lost chances? Are you trying to change people who cannot be changed? Are you trying to make people love you, those who don't even deserve your love? Yeah. Here's what you need to do. First, let go. All of you say it loudly with me. Let go. Let go of all those shackles that bind you. Let go of all those mindsets that are stopping your progress. Let go of anything and everything that is negative. Let go. Yeah, unless you let go, how can you move forward? Let's understand something, that God may change your future, but even God cannot change your past. So why live in the past? What is it? Why do you want to keep on crying about things for which you can't do anything at all? All you need to do is make that big change in your life, because even God cannot change what has already happened. So that means letting go of a lot of emotional baggage. Remember all those flights? And the very pretty girl at the counter said, "Sorry, sir, you're overweight and you'll have to change." All those hasty little things that we did to change all this. I distinctly remember during one of my very first trips abroad, a good friend of mine bought and bought and bought and bought. The place was Bangkok. In those days, anything in Bangkok was far, far cheaper than what was available in India. When he went to weigh himself, he had 63 kilos. And Thai said, "We cannot take more than 30. And the girl very sweetly told him, "Okay, I can relax up to 35 kilos. For the remaining, no." He came to all of us and said, "Hey, can you take some of my luggage? Can you share some of my extra stuff?" All of us had also done the same kind of shopping. We couldn't help it. Now he had to dump a lot of stuff. Now, when he dumped the stuff, I was watching him. What did he dump? He dumped soaps. Yeah, soaps. He dumped shampoos. He dumped shirts. He dumped a lot of pebbles that he had collected at Pattaya. How many of us do the same with our own lives? All that unwanted stuff. And we keep on trying to change it. We keep on trying to do something about it. But everybody has his own burden. So we can't shift it. So all we can do is get rid of it. I don't know how many of you are old enough in this audience, but you used to have what are known as cassette tapes, the good old days. And I'm talking about the 70s and the early 80s. Many of us recorded our first songs on the tape. Many of us would listen to our favorite music programs and then retape or re-record it on the tape. Now, before the tape started recording, there was a small button which would automatically push itself right to the front of the cassette tape, and that was known as the erase button. Now, unless the erase button started operating, the recording wouldn't happen. Or if the recording did happen, it would happen over what had already been recorded. And what would emerge would be a very confused cacophony of sound, no music at all. Many of us experimented. Many of us lost a lot of stuff just because we didn't know of this. And slowly we learned that unless the erase button operates, you can't do anything. Nature has a very funny way of looking at things. Let's say we all have lunch together. And you eat and you eat and you eat. You have a full stomach. Then you get a lovely dessert. You eat the dessert also. And then barely 10 minutes later, I say, let's have lunch again. Will you feel like having lunch? No, you won't, isn't it? Simply because your body has to let go. Your body has to let go of the food it ate. Your body has to digest the food or evacuate it. Unless that happens, you won't feel hungry again. It's the same thing with life. If you keep on having too many things in your life, if you have too much of baggage in your life, if you forgot the erase button, and if you kept on eating without giving your body time to work itself out, nothing new can happen. And that's what reinventing is all about. So, before you start reinventing yourself, you look at SWOT. Oh yes, it's changed. It used to be SWOT, those good old days. Now it is SWOT. What's your strength? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Sometimes weaknesses can become strengths with the right kind of an audience. And sometimes your strength can become a weakness when it is not necessary. So there is no absolute here. What can be your strength and what can be your weakness? No, there's no rigidity here. We are no longer living in a rigid world, a very, very dynamic world. My strength is, or my strength could be, that I talk very well. It doesn't work when I'm talking to my wife. I need to be a good listener. So strength is not always good. My weakness is that I am emotional. It's good because if I'm emotional, I can also be passionate. And if I can be passionate, I can achieve a lot more things that I can dream about than most people who think only rationally. So you see, there's nothing very rigid about the word strength and about the word weakness. Let's look at the other one, the opportunities. Never in the history of mankind have so many opportunities been available to so many people all at once. You and I are a lucky generation. The number of change, the amount of change that 7 generations of people didn't see in their whole lives, we've all seen. The amount of technological change, of conceptual change in our lives has thrown open the kind of opportunities that you could never have dreamt of. Bangalore was a very, very sleepy town. Pensioners' paradise it used to be called. A city that was built for just 30 lakh people. Today, Bangalore has 1 crore and 41 lakh people. Every one of them here looking for an opportunity. And the unbelievable thing is that within 4 days of landing here, even without a job prospect, anybody and everybody seems to find a job. So the amount of opportunities seem to be almost limitless. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a limitation. Sorry, there is a limitation. And that limitation is your mindset. Unless you unblock yourself here, no opportunities. So the moment you unblock yourself, that is when opportunities really start flowing in. Challenges? Sure, there are challenges. When I go out to go out of my house every day, I have a challenge. You know what's the challenge? Well, the challenge is whether I should look at that pretty neighbor across the street or not. Kidding, joking. But seriously, every day in the morning to the evening, every one of us face some kind of challenge or the other. Challenges which our elders never faced. You and I didn't have the courage to talk back to our parents. And my daughter seems to think that parents are meant only to have debates and arguments with. See, so much of a change. Now, you and I were not brought up in a situation where we could face such challenges, but we have to face them today if we want to be great parents. So the entire what shall I say, the entire analysis of SWOT or SWOT as it is called has undergone a dynamic change. Today, you have to look at every day as it comes. And then you have to look at this 4 and say, okay, which strength will I use today? And which weakness might be converted into a strength? Which opportunity have I not looked at so far? And what challenges are we talking about? Hey, come on, let's face it, I can do it. Having known all this, ladies and gentlemen, you are now ready to reinvent yourself. Let's see how we can do this. You need to strategize. What is strategizing? Strategizing is giving yourself and your mind full freedom to think about what your future can be. For the moment, you forget about, is it possible? Is it not possible? Can I do this? Can I not do this? No. For the moment, you first brainstorm and say, all right, what is it that I can do? You strategize. You try and think of things that are out of the box. You look at strategies which could be flexible. You look at what suits you best. And when you have some kind of an idea. You put all this down on a piece of paper, and then you start building your strategy. When you do that, I would like you to listen to your heart. It's very important. A person's gut feeling has a lot to do with his success in life. I'll give you some examples from my own life. I have owned 9 businesses so far. Each one of those businesses I started. I built a brand around it. I built systems around it, and I sold it. You're going to ask me, why did I do that? Well, I like the fun of doing it. I like the challenge of doing it. Oh yes, every one of those businesses was sold as a zero debt company, and every one of them fetched me money. Now, why am I talking about this? My biggest triumph was a corporate barters company called Batavia. When I started this, everybody around me said, hey, are you crazy? Money has already been invented some 8,000 years back. You don't need to do this bartering business. Why do you want to do it? It's not going to work. I spoke to some acknowledged experts. They said, no, it's not going to work. I hired a marketing agency to find out if it would work. And they said, no, out of the question. Don't waste your money. You're not going to do it. And in 6 years, Batavia became the #1 company where corporate barters are concerned. I listened to my heart. Very often, when people talk to you, please remember they talk out of the limitations of their own knowledge. They talk about the limitations of the mindsets they have got. Now, if I were to talk to somebody who's 30 years older and say, I want to start a software company, he's going to say, what? What is software? See, he might be a very learned person. He might be a very wise person. But the knowledge that he might want to give you, the advice that he might want to give you is simply not in his domain. So how can that help at all? So you need to listen to your heart. And very often your heart can be right. Now, when you look at anything that you want to do, go back to the formula that we all learned when we were kids. Plus, minus, multiply, and divide. So you got some kind of an idea as to what you want to do next. What are the pluses? Okay. Let us think of something very crazy. Let us think of what shall we think about? Okay, let's think about something that people have already started thinking about, but we'll do it a little differently. Let's talk about building a 5-star senior citizens home. Yeah, 5-star. Anything and everything that they might want to ask for. What are the pluses? The pluses are that there are a lot of people today who are earning very well in their lives, who unfortunately have to be away from their hometowns, and they're not able to take care of their parents. There's a situation, a social situation, where husband or the wife doesn't get along with the elders, and you want both. What do you do? So there are a lot of pluses about having a senior citizens home. What's the minus? The minus is the fact that we are all very emotional and we would like our parents to be with us most of the time. But if you were to think about a population of 130 crores, you would also want to think that out of those 130 crores, there must be just about 1 lakh people who want to be doing this. And if 1 lakh people want to stay in a senior citizen's home, you need to multiply. Yeah, what you thought of Originally, as a one-man show, or maybe 2 beds or 5 beds, you might now want to be thinking about 5,000 beds, 50,000 beds. Yeah, the opportunities can then be multiplied. Yeah, they come with their own challenges. But that is when you learn to divide. You learn to divide your priorities into the right kind of working time. You might want to apportion more of your time to something that is challenging. You might want to delegate something which is not so challenging and which somebody else can do. You might want to ignore something that really is not very important. So you would then want to divide your time, because we all have only 24 hours a day. You might want to divide your time in such a way that you do what you really feel you should be doing. A very beautiful saying that says, plan for the next 100 years, live as if you'll die tomorrow. Very often in my training interventions, ladies and gentlemen, I have come across people who've said, as soon as my daughter gets married, I'll really be very happy. As soon as I build my house, I know I'll be very happy. As soon as my son graduates from college, I'll be very happy. Hey, is our happiness dependent on somebody else? No, it isn't. Our happiness depends on us. And we have the choice to be happy or unhappy. It doesn't depend on anybody. So you learn to live today as if it's the last day of your life. You don't know. You never know. Tomorrow you may not be there. And in your last dying breath, there should be a situation that says, oh, if only I could have. No, live it. Don't postpone happiness. It's not worth it. Yeah, be happy. And happiness is not a habit. Happiness is not a condition. Happiness is a way of life. It's you, and you need to be happy. When you're strategizing, dare to be a little different from other people. Yeah, if you're only one of those people who's doing what everybody else is doing, and this country is very famous for being copycats. Somebody starts a Kirana store and the guy opposite him feels, hey, why should he earn all the money? And so he starts another one too. And before you know it, there are 10 Kirana stores in a locality which can only really give prosperity to one. Be different. My whole life I've tried to be different. Many of you who know me personally know that anything and everything that I do has to be a little different from other people. Yeah, that is how you make your mark. Do you know something? Your parents wanted you to be different. Yeah, they wanted you to be different. Why else did they give you a name? They could have called you number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Why did they give you a name? And why did they attach that name with somebody else, some god? Why did they do that? Maybe they wanted you to emulate the qualities of that god. Maybe they wanted you to be different from all the other people. But yes, that is where your parents inculcated in you that need to be different. What if I gave you rice, rasam, and beans every day? Morning, afternoon, evening. If I gave it to you every day for a whole year, you'd kill me, isn't it? Yeah. Why is it that every day when we eat at home, we always ask our spouse, so what's today? What's special today? Why? Because we all want to be different. Why is it that every one of us goes to a Rajnikant movie? Yeah, many of us who don't know Tamil also go to a Rajnikant movie. Why? Because he dares to be different. A Mohanlal movie is always guaranteed to make you sit up and think. Yeah, because he's different. And Amir Khan maybe brings out one movie in a year, but that movie is so different. See, you need to be different. Unconsciously, you are different. You are different. Unconsciously. All of us don't wear the same clothes. All of us don't wear the same colors. All of us don't wear the same kind of clothes. Women wear saris, salwar kameezes, dresses. Men wear vesties, they wear shirts, they wear pajamas. Well, we're all trying to be different. Now, in whatever you do, as part of your reinvention process, dare to be a little different from what other people are. And therein lies one ingredient of your success. An amazing thing, ladies and gentlemen, you and I wouldn't be sitting here today if your father and your mother were not passionate about one another. It was that passion that they had which created you and me. Yeah, true, isn't it? When Devi Shetty started Narayan Rudalaya, everybody said, one more hospital. So what? But this man single-handedly worked day and night to build that hospital to become the premier cardiac hospital throughout Asia. And he had a passion for doing it. Now, passion has really nothing to do with money. It is something that you want to do, something that you feel very strongly about. Some people are passionate about driving. Me too. I'm crazy about that. Some people are passionate about meeting other people. Some people make it a point to do something new every day because that ignites their passion. Without passion, whatever you do is ordinary. With passion, the most ordinary thing you do can become extraordinary. Yeah, look at all those times when you did something with all your attention, with all your josh. I'm sure it must have been a success. And it was, and if it was a success, it must have been a phenomenal success. Yeah, the secret is passion. Passion, love, romance, there's a lot of change, a lot of difference. Now, passion is not emotion. Passion is not being emotional about something. I said I changed 9 businesses. Well, people might ask, isn't that wrong? You let go of a business? Look, you don't get sentimental about your business. You get passionate about business. Okay. If you get sentimental about business, then you lose the chance to be critical about all its lapses. If you're passionate, you make sure that you take care of those small little lapses as you move along. The passion that you have really defines the kind of success that you will achieve. Unfortunately, the human mind is a very, very chanchal mind. The exact word in English escapes me. But it's a roving mind. It does not keep its focus on one thing at a time. It keeps on shifting. It goes away. It goes away to something else. You maybe work on a workout for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden your mind is no longer on it. Human beings are built like that. There are too many things that occupy us. This is where, my friends, this is where you need some kind of a crutch to keep on reminding you that you need to focus on your passion. Those unmarried boys, I'm sure you have a photograph of your girlfriend on your screen to remind you of your passion. I'm sure the girls don't do that, but the boys, I'm sure, do it. It could be a situation where it's a different girl every week, but then you still do it, don't you? So you need to keep on focusing on your passion. When we talk about the self-image and how the self-image needs can be changed, we talk about a crutch. We say, okay, write down what you want to be on a piece of paper and make copies of that piece of paper and stick it wherever. On your bathroom mirror, in your bedroom, at your study, wherever, to keep on reminding you that you will change your self-image. Similarly, if you need something that keeps reminding you, hey, focus on your passion. Marshall Goldsmith wrote a very, very practical and a very, very insightful book, which he called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. Look back on everything that we have achieved in our past. We used certain methodology to do it. Sometimes it happened to us. Sometimes we made it happen. But we all used a certain methodology. Those methodologies don't seem to be working now. The world has moved on. So the world needs new ways of tackling situations, new ways of facing challenges. And you need to equip yourself for this, because definitely what brought you here is not going to take you there. I love this. It's a very beautiful quote. If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always got. 2 + 2 is always 4. 2 + 2 is always 4. It can change. Okay. So if you have to achieve something that is not something that you've achieved already, and you want to achieve something really new, you can't do it by doing what you did all the time. If you have to reinvent yourself, you can't keep going back to what you were. You can't keep living in your past. You got to burn that bridge, and you got to look at ways and means in which you will be able to do different things in a different way. Hey, let's all do this, shall we?
Laugh together. Huh? Laugh together.
Sorry, Rajesh Chandak, the laugh was prepared before I saw it yesterday. So I'm sorry about that repetition. But ladies and gentlemen, we all need time for ourselves. It should be part of your whole schedule for a day. You must have 30 minutes in which you simply let go. You do things that you want to do. You do things that are unconnected with work. It's your me time. You read, you watch a movie, you go for a walk. This is the time when the only person you talk to is you, nobody else. That's me time. This is the time when your batteries get recharged. That laugh exercise in my previous slide was one way in which you re-energize yourself. You start becoming a kid again. You start developing curiosities, and you start looking at a life afresh with the batteries charged. God did not intend for us to be perfect. How else would we pray to him? Isn't it? God wanted us to be imperfect because only then we would continue to look at perfection. So failures are a part of life. There's no guarantee that even the best person in life, the best batsman, for example, there's no guarantee that Virat Kohli will score a century every time, because every ball is a new one. Every bowler is a new one. Every bowler at a particular point of time is new, although he might have been bowling for a very long time, to Virat himself. So in a situation like that, despite our best efforts, we might face failure. That's all right. Pick yourself up and start working again. Have you watched an ant walking across a floor with a grain of rice? How many times does it fail? How many times does it pick itself again and start walking? Small creature teaches us a valuable lesson. So take failures in stride. They make you smarter, they make you stronger, and they make you more perfect. When we go along in the process of reinventing ourselves, we need to nurture positive relationships. Your seniors, nurture people who are wise, people who've seen life, people who are akin to what you want to do. Nurture your peers. They're guys with whom you can let your hair down, relax, take a drink, talk about all kinds of petty things, joke around, and maybe do a little bit of talking about work. But otherwise, it's more a situation where you relax with your peers. Cultivate the younger ones because they give you knowledge, they give you insight, they ask you questions for which you need to design answers. But above all, please nurture positive relationships. The process of making a movie. Can anybody ever make a movie if there are critics only in the production crew? Can you imagine a situation where a shot is being shot and there are 100 voices saying, not this way, that way, not that way, this way? The film would never be made. Life is like that. Nurture positive relationships because they help you build. My very good friend, my younger brother, Raman Nair, is a master at this micro goals, he calls them. Every day, you could have a small goal for yourself. And this goal should be in line with what you want to achieve in life. One small portion. I was talking about rasam rice earlier on. What if I gave you idli, vada, dosa, rice, puliyogare, bisibele bath, sweet, all of them at the same time? Not possible to eat. So if I were to tell you, okay, no worry, today I'll give you idli, tomorrow I'll give you vada, Day after tomorrow, we'll have a little bit of pongal. You really are going to enjoy it. It's the same with life. Divide the biggest goal that you may have into a daily goal, a goal that keeps you energized, small portions of a goal, doable portions, measurable portions of a goal. Because when you measure, you win. When you measure, you win. Because you know, at the end of the day, I wanted to do this and I did it. See, the biggest goal in the world is worth achieving. Can be achieved if you develop these two habits, micro goals and the ability to win, or the determination to win at whatever may be the cost for that day. Never, never, never. All of you shout out this 10 times at least. Yeah, do it. Never, 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 never. Yeah, keep doing it. Yeah, do it. Brilliant. Very well. Okay. Never what? Never go back to your comfort zone. Therein lies your biggest failure. The moment you're back in your comfort zone, you will never ever be able to achieve anything that you want to achieve. Because sitting there on your big fat ass, you will never be able to work. And if you don't work, I'm sorry, you'll never be able to do anything in your life. Your comfort, you have to leave, then only you leap on to success. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, you must get a role model in life. Somebody after whom you can fashion your life, or a mentor who can coach you from time to time on how your life should move on. Get a real model, get a role model. Amitabh Bachchan, in an interview, said, I copied my dancing steps from the way Bhagwan danced. I looked at my emotions and I started not shouting, but whispering when I became really angry, a la Dilip Kumar style. I copied my romantic moves from Devanand. See? And he did all that and he became Amitabh Bachchan, whom many of us copy. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a fascinating 1 hour with you. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. It was great talking to all of you. I look forward to a situation where somewhere, sometime, you and I will be together. I'm indeed extremely grateful to JCI India, to the National President, the National Governing Board, Vaman, my colleagues on the faculty team, every one of us who helped Ramesh Batavia do this. Thank you so much, and may God bless you all. And